finally got her uniform. That's not Shuri. Finally got the Black Panther uniform, and it looks amazing. But do you want it? Do you need it? Is it really that useful? That's what we're going to try to break down in today's video. And to do so, we're first going to have to take a look at what the new skills look like and what the new rotation looks like, because they actually did give her a lot of new skills. This is not just a reskin. Unfortunately, it's also not a synergy uniform, but it also has some pretty nice abilities. So let's take a look here. Her first skill, pretty straightforward, just punches and kicks. Second skill, she does a little handstand business, little, capoeira type thing. Her third skill, very nice instant cancel, where she creates a bunch of Shuri clones that then punch the middle, literally an instant cancel. So you can instantly cancel it, and then you just get a delay on those clones, but you get all the damage. And then her fourth and fifth skills are not instant cancels, but they're just long animations with lots of hits. She does her Muda, Muda, Muda on 4, and then on 5, she literally does Wakanda forever. Now, this is what I wanted to show you guys in skill preview, because when you're actually fighting the boss, it's hard to see. She literally Wakanda forevers and then goes into her attack. Yes. Yes. So as far as, if you really like the Black Panther movie and you like the series, if you really liked Shuri, Leticia Williams as Black Panther, I think this uniform is a it's hard not to want to buy this uniform from an aesthetic point of view, from a sort of homage and reference and love letter to the movie point of view. It's a little late. Like, it would have been nice to have this like 4 or 5 months ago or later, but it is what it is. And then the sixth skill is exactly the same. She summons Bast, exactly the same as before. Remember that the sixth skill is instantly cancelable, so you can always just, so for example, you could do 3 cancel 6 cancel 5, and you get all the hits from 3, all the hits from 6, and all the hits from 5 as she is doing them. But 5 and 4 both have pretty short animations, as you can see there, and you can only really proc if you're going to use her with a proc obelisk or a CTP of energy or something like that. You can only really hit with one of the skills. So the recommended rotation here is 5, 3, 4. So they recommend that you proc on 4, and 4 has the most hits. You do get 80 hits, which is not bad at all. So the rotation being 3 cancel 5 cancel 4, and then 3 cancel 5 cancel 6 cancel 4. Very, very easy once you've done 2 rotations, okay? So now we're going to see how this new uniform performs, and we're going to match it up to the old Black Panther Wakanda Forever uniform. Keep in mind that my build has a CTP of Insight and a 6-star artifact, so it's kind of a weird build, to be honest with you. But this is the build that I'm rocking. She has no Odin's Blessing, and she's more geared towards sort of support / PvP than PvE. But yeah, and then for the uniform options, I don't think I covered this yet. Sorry about that. We have pretty good options, I think. Thor Love and Thunder is excellent. Hawkeye is okay. Miles Morales Anniversary is terrible, in my opinion. Gambit Excalibur, old, but okay for the time. And then Cable X of Swords. This one kind of sucks, but I think most people also have this uniform. It sucks because it just got replaced, but I think it's still a good uniform to choose because it was meta for a while, and a lot of people did invest in it. So yeah, it's not a huge difference, but because the new uniform gives her a 35% attack lead, you don't have to use Wave's lead of 25%. So I am going to be comparing this one with the old uniform using Wave's lead and the new uniform using her own lead. So the new uniform by default gets a 10% attack increase benefit. How much is that 10% attack increase really going to matter? I have no idea, but let's check it out here. This is stage 50 of Mephisto. That's right, stage 50. And for the purpose of this video, we're just going to use the exact same build. So I'm going to be using an Insight for both, so we don't have to worry about proccing and that sort of thing. But I think in general with Shuri, because you're canceling the 6 right away, you do have to wait not 1 but 2 rotations before you can pop the tier 3. So whereas most characters nowadays, they get the tier 3 off every other rotation, Shuri's going to have to wait for her 3rd rotation to get the tier 3 off. So it's every 3. So after every 2 rotations, you can pop the tier 3, but then that means you open the rotation with the tier 3, sort of like Luna's new uniform, where you open with the tier 3. But yeah, basically you can cancel everything into 4 and then proc like that. And I think we should be good here. Yep. So look at that, under a minute to clear the first phase. And this is basically with a purely support build. We have no proc whatsoever. This is just an Insight CTP and nothing else. So I think this is quite nice. You can see the survivability is good as well. And the rotation is obviously very easy to do. There's very few hits before you hit 4, even with the full cancel of 6. So I have no doubt in my mind that she would be pretty proc friendly. Like, you just have to look at the number of hits that happen on screen before before she flips up. She does a little flip upwards for the 4th skill. Very few hits, so quite nice there. She has nice movement speed as well. But yeah, I think a lot of people are going to be wondering how much better this uniform is than the tracksuit uniform. And I also think that a lot of people just aren't going to invest in this uniform because they already have the tracksuit. And for them, if they're just using Shuri as a support, I think it's a no-brainer to not get to skip this uniform. If you're just using Shuri as a support, absolutely don't bother getting the uniform because you don't need it. Right? There we go. Boom. 2 minutes, done 2 phases. As far as being a support goes, yeah, her support is slightly better. I don't think it's enough to really justify 1,000 crystals. I think they could have discounted this uniform to 750 crystals in the case of those players, but it is what it is. You know. Ooh, she takes the purple. Nice. Very good. Okay, doesn't have iframe ignore anywhere here, so we are going to miss out on quite a bit of damage on that rotation because he was iframing us. But you can see there with that heal, very, very nice recovery, almost back to full now. We're not going to bother engaging in this stun phase because Shuri's going to get stunned a lot. But we should be able to finish this in the next minute or so, which was pretty much the time that I had done on stream, which I still think is quite competitive. He's going to iframe me here, or he's going to cutscene me here. Yeah, so pretty chill uniform. I kind of wish they had done a little bit more to change her playstyle. I don't know. Make it feel a little bit different, I guess. That would have been nice. Let's pop off here. 3 bars. Okay, yeah. Shuri kind of struggles when he's slamming. So you don't really want to try and fight through all those attacks. Pop the tier 3. Gotta just finish him off here. All right, not bad. So 1.5 minutes on stage 50. That is pretty good. Again, for basically a completely support build. So the new uniform's tier 2 passive is 55% increased damage to villains and then 40% damage reduction from villains. That applies to all allies. Whereas this one here is exactly the same. It's 55% increased damage to villains and 40% reduction. So the passives, the support abilities are exactly the same. Literally, the only difference is that the old uniform is 6% all speed and the new one is 35% attack. So what does that actually mean? That means that with the old uniform, you use something like Wave, and she has 60,000, just about 61,000 physical attack. With the new uniform, instead of using Wave, she already has more attack here. You can see she has 63,000, but then you use her own lead, and now she goes up to 64. So you get about 3,400 or 3,500 more attack when you combine the stats of the uniform with the extra 10% attack. That's it. That's literally all you get. Plus you get the animations and stuff like that. But as far as being a support, she's exactly the same. So again, if you're just using Shuri as a support, there's no reason not to have this uniform. However, how does this uniform perform with the same build on that same stage 50? So besides the 10% change in attack, there's nothing else to change these two uniforms. Let's see how the old Shuri uniform does. Now this is a different rotation. You have to do 5 delay cancel, 4 cancel, 3. You have to wait for her to throw out those bombs so that they explode, those little like electric bombs. The rest of the rotation is the same in the sense that you have to wait for the beginning of the 3rd rotation to pop Bast, and the 6th skill, that has not changed. So that much is the same here. But otherwise, yeah, you do need to delay 5. So there's a little bit more timing that goes into the rotation than the other Shuri uniform. They're both pretty much the same in terms of proc friendliness, I would say. Just because there's a delay here doesn't mean this one's harder to proc on. It just means you have to be aware of that. But there's literally no hits as she's throwing the bombs to set up. So it's actually perfect to proc on. But I think we're a little bit behind here on time. So it does look like this uniform is doing a little bit less damage. We're only about 5 seconds behind. But 5 seconds here does end up, you know, adding up to 15 seconds over the course of 3 Mephisto lives. So we'll have to wait and see how that does. You can actually use the first and second skills to deal damage after 3, because 3 has a lot of downtime. But I actually don't want to do that because I don't want to charge up Mephisto's rage meter too fast. That is an important thing to consider, because if a build is doing less damage, then I kind of wanted him to cutscene before. Yeah, I was hoping he'd cutscene before he did this. But yeah, if a build is doing a little bit less damage and you hit the boss too many times, what ends up happening is you trigger more of these rage phases, and each rage phase costs you like 15 to 20 seconds. So I want there to be a very fair comparison between these two uniforms for people who are Shuri fans, right? Obviously, if you're just using Shuri as a support, then this uniform is, the new uniform is not needed at all, straight up, because of the fact that the support is exactly the same, right? Which we already covered. But if you are a Shuri fan and you want her to do as much damage as possible, then I want this to be a fair comparison so that you can see beyond the 10% attack, which is kind of meaningless if we're being honest. What does the new Shuri uniform bring to the table? And it seems like the new Shuri uniform does do more damage. She died. Shit. Here you go, and we're back here. That was a bit unlucky that she took too much damage from that attack, but we're doing actually a little bit better than we were the last time. So I'm actually pretty happy with this run as far as the speed goes. And yeah, we don't want to die to that shit. Hell no. Gonna pop the tier 3, pop the co-op, get a little bit more damage in here. But yeah, as I was saying, for those of you that just want to use Shuri as a support, there's no reason to buy the new Black Panther uniform. As cool as it looks, despite all of that, the support is exactly the same. But for those of you, I mean, the 10% attack I think is kind of negligible. And I think for a lot of situations, you're not even going to be using Shuri lead. And remember that Misty lead is often better for Luna anyways, in case you're thinking of using Shuri as a lead for Luna. I don't think it really adds up. I think the devs kind of dropped the ball on this one in that sense, because they clearly didn't test this uniform, the new Shuri uniform versus the old one to really make sure there was a big enough difference, a noticeable enough difference, and players are getting wise to that, and it's probably going to hurt the sales of this uniform majorly. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of the worst selling uniforms of the year, even though it is so iconic in terms of its visuals, right? I'm not talking about this uniform. I'm talking about the new one. So she ends up clearing it maybe 20 seconds slower, 10 seconds slower. It's not really that bad. It's really not that bad. At very, very high stages, right? Very, very high stages, you may notice a little bit better performance from the new uniform, but you know, let's be real. The majority of players that are doing very, very high World Boss Legend are not going to be relying on tier 3s like Shuri, Miss Marvel, etc. They're going to be going straight to tier 4s like Shadow Shell, or even just level 80 Shadow Shell, Luna, etc. So yeah, unfortunately, this uniform cannot recommend it at all unless you're a massive Shuri fan. If you are, then you probably don't need very much convincing to get it. But if anything, I hope this video convinces the devs to do something about this uniform. Like, they really should have just buffed the support. I don't see why not. They don't even have to buff it in a major way. They can just add some ignore dodge, like 30% ignore dodge would just clearly make it a better support uniform. Or they could do something else. They could add an additional effect like ignore dodge, but a different one. They could add iframe ignore on the uniform or something like that to maybe make it a little PvP friendly. But as it stands right now, this is a very, very niche product. And I think the devs completely missed on this one. And I don't think aesthetics alone really sell uniforms anymore. I don't think the MCU is that strong of a vehicle any longer. And especially not when you wait a year from the movie's release to try to bank on that popularity. So yeah, that's my thoughts. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Hopefully you enjoyed the comparison. Thank you so much for watching the video. Smash the like button if you enjoyed the content, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.